Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the NJ Podcast. This podcast aims to share stories, tips, and insights about achieving success while having fun. From topics ranging from personal development to business, entertainment, and sports, the podcast will have conversations with experts and people in their respective fields. The podcast will also share insights from Jablo James's published and upcoming books. The tagline, which is the theme of the podcast, is "Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal." This means that you are doing what you have always wanted to do because it is aligned with your highest values, and this is the only way you can live a truly fulfilled life. Your host, Jablo James.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast where we talk about success. And remember that the theme of the show is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means you're going after what you've always wanted to go after because it's aligned with your highest values. And that is the only way for you to live a truly fulfilled, inspired, and successful life. On the show, we talk with people from all walks of life, from business, entertainment, religious proclivities. And on the show today, we've got a good friend of mine. We haven't seen each other in a while, but he's still a good friend of mine. We met each other through the greatest communication leadership organization in the world, Toastmasters International. And we were in the same club together, I believe. Yeah, we were in the same club together. He's a dynamic speaker, this guy. Talk to him nicely. And he is a proud author. And out of respect, I'm going to refer to him as the bishop. You know, out of respect, I don't want to break spiritual protocol.
Big words.
He is the bishop, and he's the author of Journey of 1,000 Miles, Battle for Your Soul. And so I'll read the back of the book. And so this spiritually provocative and yet intellectually stimulating book titled The Journey of 1,000 Miles unpacks the revelation that life is a journey whose destiny most people are uncertain of. Every Christian is on a journey of faith, and just like any other journey, it may be rough and despairing, yet its destination is blissful. The journey starts with a single step and branches out into tiny journeys which eventually join up to give meaning to the overall picture. This book is written to warn the Christian who wants to walk in greater purity. My. It brims with provocative insights that there is a real enemy out there who wants to stop you from becoming an effective Christian, thereby undermining the work and purpose of your salvation. It gives us a fresh breath of understanding that the Christian must arise and be an active participant against deceit by projecting the truth and renouncing the lie. As a prolific author and an impeccable teacher of God's Word, Bishop Honest Ncube presents practical and effective strategies on how Christians can overcome obstacles in their journey of faith. The book is jam-packed with thought-provoking revelations and superbly articulated narratives about the journey of Christian faith. The author demonstrates incredible storytelling abilities in which he uses practical examples of real-life experiences he has gone through in order to solidify your understanding of spiritual realities. It's not a game, people. It's not a game out there. It's not a game. Therefore, this book is a clarion call for every Christian in journey of faith to step out of the convictions of ordinary life, of complacency, go beyond the elementary truths of the gospel, and move on to the fullness of God. The incredible, inspiring, hard-to-get revelations encapsulated in this book are set to revolutionize your life forever. So, Bishop Honest Ncube is an apostle of God who is the presiding bishop of Victory Redeemed Church. He is husband to Chanel Khotatso Ncube and has been blessed with two beautiful girls, Kayla and Amelia. Bishop H is, as he is commonly known, Bishop H, I'm calling you Bishop H from now on, is a public speaker, facilitator, life coach, and mentor. He has taken leadership roles in various organizations such as Toastmasters, BGYA, Thorntree, Humble Harry's, Afrimat College, Cosmos City Church Forum, Police DIA, Cosmos City, and has been on SABC as a motivational speaker and various radio stations. He is also the creator and founder of the program called Shape Your Youth Destiny that has seen dozens of youth being transformed in the area of identity and entrepreneurship. Bishop H is a visionary who is relentless to transform Africa and the world to embrace Christ and his kingdom and to help people to become active participants in global transformation. All right. Thank you very much for being on the show, Bishop H. Pleasure to have you.
Sounds like a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, but I can guarantee you that everything that we just read is 100% correct. Yes. So thank you very much for making the time. We haven't seen each other in a while, but I still have been following you and your stories and the way what you've been doing within the faith and the church, and it's very inspiring. So God bless you and keep strengthening you in the walk. So if you can just give us a outside of the plethora of information that we've gotten from the book, just give us your take on who is Bishop H and what is his definition of what makes a person successful?
Okay, so thank you for having me. Like you said, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I was slightly slimmer the last time. Work in progress.
Work in progress, don't worry. We accept everybody here.
Look at that, my insecurities being the first things to come out.
Yeah.
So who is Bishop H and my definition of success? And let me just start off with my definition of success, if that's okay. For me, being a thinker, and I think a lot of people in our generations can classify themselves as thinker. We really think through stuff.
Yeah.
And what I can hone it down to is maybe success is achieving purpose.
Yeah.
And that's a big word already.
Yeah,
I think
purpose
it's
is a massive word.
It's opening a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
But I think success for me is achieving that purpose. If I look at my life and I consider myself successful in so many areas.
Yeah.
And one of those is being able to love my wife.
Yes.
And for me, that's a big thing. I love my wife. I love my kids and I love the people around me.
Yeah.
Like and for me that's success to be able to live a life like that. Obviously the other things that are things, they kind of help me to achieve that success.
Yeah.
When I'm able to take care of my kids and all that. So the reason I started off with that is because I believe that best defines who I am. I believe I'm a guy from the hood.
From the hood?
From the hood.
Which hood you from?
So, I basically, there's a place called Scott Paula.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. It was a squatter camp. And that's where basically I kind of started my life as I could start to understand what life is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to cut a long story short.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm a guy who's here to help others find their light.
Yeah.
And that's my life purpose and mission. I think a lot of wonderful people out there have dimmed their lights for whatever reason. And the world is not as bright, because I think we can all agree that the world is not really a very bright place.
No, not particularly, no.
Yeah. So, and the reason for that, I think, is because a lot of us are not allowing our light to shine. And when our light shines, I think the world is going to become a better place.
No, 100%. So what do you think people are afraid to let their light shine? What is the biggest reason that people are saying, my light's not going to shine, I'm going to dim it?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
The main one's really bordering on the lines of identity.
Identity, okay.
Of knowing who you really are. And obviously we're living in an intellectual community.
Yeah.
And we all have ideas out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all put our ideas out there. And I often joke about this. I say you've got to have an idea that can compete well in the marketplace of ideas.
100%.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing that we've got so many ideas. I'm not an advocate to say, let's shut down all these ideas.
Sure.
I think they need to have it's a fair competition.
Yeah.
So that we can see maybe which one is dominant, and maybe which one is more real and which one is not so real.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an issue of identity, and that identity is informed obviously by the world and the culture around us.
Yeah.
Sadly enough, in as much as the current era that we are in supports such freedom of everything and so many things, which is a good thing. But the downside of it is the fact that it wants to tell you who you should be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it even advocates to say you can decide who you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's a big word, and that's a big statement, that you can decide, because it kind of cancels out that maybe you are created for a purpose.
Yes.
Maybe you've got a part to play. It's like getting into a soccer field.
Yeah.
You like football.
Yeah.
Getting into a football field and they say, hey, you can play whatever number and position that you want.
That's a very bad idea. That's a very bad idea.
And the weird part is that you can.
You can.
You have the ability.
But should I?
Is it for the greater good?
Yeah.
Is it for the greater good for me to actually go there and say, I'm going to play whatever number that makes me happy? So, I can learn to be happy with the number that's going to give the greatest benefit, not only to me, but to the rest of society.
100%.
So I think it really goes on identity, and maybe that's the reason I've written that book there. Of 1,000 Miles, and I come from and religion is a big thing. Religion is a big thing. Still one of the biggest maybe ideologies that is. Obviously, it competes with things like capitalism, and communism, and all those ideas that are out there.
Yeah.
However, it still has a footprint, and I've come from kind of different religions.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Tell us.
There's some weird things out there. So I don't even know if it's safe for people to hear things like that. But
is it true that there's a church of the flying spaghetti monster?
And the church of Shrek and his beloveds. So anyway.
Wow.
So that's the beauty of our day and age, really.
Yeah.
But I can share a little bit.
Just a little bit. What you're
without putting any names to it.
Whatever you're comfortable with, Bishop.
Yeah, so my journey of faith started off, I remember when I was quite young, and it started off with, I remember my granny, and my granny is a staunch, dedicated Lutheran.
Lutheran, okay.
Yeah, that's where I used to go, and I was very young. So I don't really remember much. I remember that the singing was amazing.
Yeah.
And then at one point, my parents, I think they went to some form of church.
Some form of church, okay.
Yeah, so it's a church.
Explain.
And it's quite common in most, I think, Southern African countries.
Yeah.
And the church kind of wears these blue or red or whatever kind of garments on.
Yeah.
And they play drums.
Okay.
Yeah, and they carry sticks.
Yeah.
So I'm not mentioning any names.
No, don't have to.
I don't want to do that.
Cancel him.
I don't want to do that. I still value my life.
That's sure.
So we went there, and they're quite popular. So they do kind of exorcisms of things. So
wow.
Yeah, so they'll tell you there's something in your homestead, and they'll come.
It sounds like a prophetic church.
Yeah, it is prophetic.
Okay.
Well, again, depending on your definition of prophetic. So so I went to that church and lovely. There's a young person, you love the music.
Yeah.
You don't really see the problems around anything. You just
sure.
go there. There's great music, and bam 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 bam. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Okay, so time goes, and my parents really moved around. Mm-hmm. And my mom was a teacher. At one point, she fell really sick.
Okay.
Like very sick.
Okay.
And she consulted a prophet again.
Yeah.
And this guy came with this short, knob carry kind of thingy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he did the most weird thing. And he goes to my mom and sticks that thing on her tummy and starts pulling out. And my mother's like groaning and she's like crying. And I'm there and I'm petrified. I'm still young then.
Yeah.
And pulls out these mopani worms.
Really?
Directly from the surface of the stomach.
This sounds unbelievable.
I promise you.
This sounds unbelievable, Bishop H.
I'm telling you, MJ. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Weirdest experience ever. And I don't know if it was magic or whatever was going on there. But surprisingly, my mother recovers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From this. And it turns out that the guy says, no, there's a fellow teacher who gave you mopani worms, which, yes, he had mopani worms from a fellow teacher. And that's the person who was bewitching you.
Okay. Standard procedure.
Yeah, standard procedure. Yeah. So I think I can't remember the rest of the details. As young as I was, the only petrifying thing was that's what I kind of logged into my memory. So yeah, this is the things I'm being exposed to when I'm growing up, and at one point then, I think we stopped going to church altogether.
Yeah.
Then my father got sick.
Okay.
And when my dad got sick and the guy's not okay. And then I remember one day he sits down with the whole family and says, guys, I want us to make a big decision as a family. And
okay.
I'm like, okay. Which was quite strange because...
That's deep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't consult anybody concerning stuff, I think maybe him and mom...
I was expecting a follow-up on...
Nah, not yet.
No follow-up, okay.
Yeah, so it's coming. So anyways,
sure.
He sits down and he says, we're going to make a big decision.
Yeah.
We need to go to church. And there's two kinds of churches.
Yeah.
And one of them, I can't say the names, but...
Don't say the names.
Yeah. There's two of them.
Yeah.
And he says, either we go this way or this way.
Yeah.
And this other one who kind of wins the battle in that debacle thing that's going on because it was his friend's church.
Okay.
And we go there. And in this church, the God is literally a human being.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I promise you.
Why do I sound surprised? This happens all the time. Like
literally,
a God is a human being.
Flesh, just like you and me, is like a human being.
So they're like, there's your God.
Yes, there's your God. And you can say, hi, God, and how are you? You can shake your hand, give you a hug, and all that stuff.
Why am I laughing? But anyway.
Yeah. And in that story, man, they will tell you, obviously, the history of how the guy becomes God.
Okay.
And this amazing light coming from somewhere and lands on him and he's God all of a sudden.
So you can see him,
No, he's a human being. He goes to the toilet like you and me. He's like a human being.
I don't want a God that goes to the bathroom.
Exactly. I should have checked back then if he had his separate bathroom thing going on. That's the guy there. And he's God and surprisingly enough, he teaches good morals.
Okay.
Yeah, like the 10 Commandments kind of thingy.
Okay.
And you've got to be good and what. But he's got to be your God. He's your God.
Okay.
Right? And at that church, they used to even have this practice whereby every year,
yeah,
young boys, young girls, they would go and meet and they would check if you're still a virgin.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, your face is not really helping here, NJ.
Because I'm so confused as to why is that a practice? Why is that a practice? Why is that a practice?
Yeah, come on, catch up, man, catch up. So we used to go there every single year in August. And it's still there. The church is still there. It's big. It's massive.
Is it massive?
It's international.
So basically it's a mega church, right?
Yeah,
more than 2,000 members.
Church. It's an international. It's a massive church.
Okay.
So we go there and every year we'd go there and they'll give you this belt thingy to celebrate that you're still a virgin. And
what happens if you're not?
Well, you're not part of the parade, so everybody kind of knows that.
Hey. This person was...
you're going to get a bit of
did a short left
from your parents. Exactly. So, I freaked out every single time because I don't know the criteria, what they're really looking at. So you're freaking out that maybe if they get it wrong and all that. But anyways, it did help in the sense that we could never fool around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that helps there.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah.
Now, most of these religions have some benefit, in fact, that
Sure.
you can look at. And that's why people go there. It's not that they're stupid or anything.
Yeah.
They go there because there's some tangible benefit that they can
get
see.
from it.
So as a result, I was a virgin for a very long time, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, after that, sadly, my father passed on.
Okay.
And then my mother went to an apostolic church in terms of traditional apostolic white garment.
What defines an apostolic church? I've heard that term so many times, but I can't. If someone was asking what's an apostolic church, I can't necessarily tell them.
Well, just to keep you on the safe side, because you're my friend.
Yeah.
Just to keep you on the safe side. It depends on where you are.
Okay.
Generally, if you're in Africa, when we're talking about an apostolic church, we're talking about white garment, go up the mountain kind of vibes.
Okay. All right.
So that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
We use water and what. And then when we're talking about a Zion church, it's almost similar, just that the others don't go purely white.
Yeah.
There's
some green,
red, and
one star,
and they've got a pa. No, not the Zion you're thinking of.
Okay.
No. That's another
okay.
genre altogether.
Yeah.
So that's the apostolic church. But then there's what the traditional apostolic churches.
Okay.
And traditional apostolic churches don't have garments. They pretty much they suit up. They're okay. And I'm sorry to use the word okay. I'm not judging anybody here. But they suit up and they don't do music and it's quite the vibe is quite good.
It sounds like a vibe.
Yeah. So just that. Coming back to my story.
Yes, sir.
So so we go and so my father passes on.
Yeah.
And mom finds work somewhere else. I'm still young with my little sister and I'm staying in the house.
Yeah.
Massive house that my father had built. And stop going to church. And then my mom goes to these white garment churches. They give you stones and water.
Okay.
Yeah, for good luck and whatever.
Okay.
And so when you go to that kind of church, you're no longer allowed back into that other church.
Okay, of course. I mean,
it's
standard procedure.
Yeah, you have excluded yourself.
Like, even if you're like, okay, I made a mistake.
Yeah, no, there's no mistakes on that one.
That is harsh,
yeah,
eh?
No.
That is harsh, eh? Wow.
So that's how we ended up outside of that church.
Okay.
And so there was no church for a while. And then my friend took me to this church. And it was also a white garment church, but quite a little bit different from the apostolic one.
Yeah.
And I got there and I was so mesmerized. I go there and there's this guy and he's just arrived.
Yeah.
And he starts to prophesy to people.
Okay.
Telling them their names, their addresses and all that.
Bible.
I was like, what the heck? And for me, I wasn't really into the God thing at that moment.
Okay.
I was like, I hear there's God. And
after all the church you've been exposed to.
No, it was just fun. And
it was just vibes.
Yeah, vibes. Love the music. Love hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the God thing was not really.
It was not your thing.
No. I think somewhere there's some form of ancestral worship that I done as well.
Yeah.
Because that has kind of come standard in many African homes.
100%.
That just comes standard. You don't question that.
Standard procedure.
And speak to your elders.
Yeah.
Anyways. So I got to that church and that thing really touched me. I was like, wow. There must be a thing to this God thing because now everything else I can see, it's we're really working with the senses, with the emotions. This time, this guy, how can he know people's names like that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that was way before the age of technology. Where
I was about to ask,
yes,
that
was way before that.
Or put it into ChatGPT or something.
No, there wasn't a ChatGPT. I don't think at that time. Maybe one or two people who probably had a cell phone.
Okay.
It wasn't the days of, and it was like maybe the Motorola's.
So this sounds like a real gift here.
Yeah, so you can't Google. Yeah. So I was quite touched, and I remember on that day I said, okay, I'm going to give my life to this God. And straight away, I said, probably coming from a young teenage suicidal mindset, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to test out this God. So I've received you and all that. And I've received you, so I want to know if you're real.
Yeah.
So I go to the bush And there's people that these Sangoma kind of guys, they put their bowls with this traditional, I don't know what they call traditional things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find there's blood in it.
Oh, wow.
Some of them take chickens and they do rituals and they leave them in the bush. So the first thing I did was to go and find things like that. And I'll kick them. Some people throw away money, say they're throwing away bad luck. I pick it up.
You pick up money.
And I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. And for me, every time I was like, if you are living God, either I'm going to die or I'm going to live. If I live, you are living. If I die, you're not there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I literally put my life on the line. And I didn't die, obviously.
While you're here.
Except if there's some alternate universe thing that's going on for dead people.
He's alive, ladies and gentlemen. He's alive. Yeah?
So that's how I tested this God. And I loved that church too.
Yeah.
And the teaching was solid. I really, really loved that church. I grew up in that church. And people loved me. And I had people that I really loved genuinely.
Yeah.
And the teaching was quite solid. There was not weird stuff in there. Well, except if you think prophesying is weird. I kind of got used to it to such a way that in that church, probably 90% of the people prophesy.
Okay.
Including small kids.
So a small kid can come and tell me my business.
Yeah. Having said that, just to kind of qualify this, the prophetic gift is not necessarily for telling other people their business. It's actually for you being able to talk to God.
Okay.
And hearing what he's saying about important stuff in your life.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of people are prophetic. They just don't call it that. They call it intuitive. They say, I had a small voice.
I had a sense.
Yeah, I had a sense. So it's kind of being prophetic.
Sure.
Without you wanting to sound weird. Because you say, I'm prophetic. Ooh. Anyways, moving on. So I grew up in that church. I love that church. In fact, I can tell you, I used to fast and say, God, if I ever leave this church, kill me.
Aibo.
Yes, that's how much I loved it.
Jesus. That's deep.
I would fast, I would pray.
That is very deep.
And I would say, God, and if I ever leave, kill me.
Okay.
Anyways. I thank you that he doesn't listen to like all of our prayers. And he kind of saw, I think, the immaturity in that.
Yeah.
Anyways, almost at the end of it, don't worry about it. Almost at the end of the story. So we at one point, and then I started speaking in tongues.
Sure.
Which is another kind of weird subject in the Christian community for now. Mm-hmm. My friends went to fast for 3 days. And I'd never fasted. And they said they went to fast. And when they came back, all of them were like speaking in new tongues.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. And I'm saying, I'm going to fast for 3 days as well. And it's my first time fasting. And I go and fast.
Like Day one. You had nothing to eat?
Nothing to eat, nothing to drink.
For 3 days?
Okay. Day one, okay. Day two, I feel like I'm dying.
Okay, sure.
And I remember I'm praying on my own and I'm crying to God. By the way, all these things, you don't need to fast for them, for those who believe in that. And I just say, God, I'm about to die here. Please, if you don't give me this gift now, I'm going to die. And all of a sudden, I can't speak in my language anymore. I start speaking in this weird language.
Sure.
And I'm trying to say hello, just normal hello. I can't say a normal hello, and I'm just speaking in this
it's a different language. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm not possessed. It's like, possessed, you don't know who you are, what you're doing. I can hear this is me.
Yeah.
And,
I haven't been possessed, so I don't know.
Remind me. Maybe I'm going to tell you another story about that.
Possession.
Later.
I don't know why I like that kind of stuff, but I do. Yeah.
So anyways. And that's the journey. How I got to Victory Redeemed Church. So in that apostolic church, and I'm doing all these things, and I love this church. I love my church. And then one day, I have an encounter.
Okay.
And it's quite a deal. I was just doing my normal fastings here and there.
Yeah.
And I have an encounter. And I believe I met Jesus.
Okay.
Right. And people say, how did you look like? It didn't look like anything really. It wasn't a physical thing. I could sense that there's somebody in the room, somebody's talking to me. I can hear the person.
Okay.
Just in case you were going there, because I know you with your questions. Like, wow, dude, what did she look like? I don't know.
Was he black?
Was he black? That's a big one before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I should have checked.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and then this voice is speaking to me and says, I want you to go to your leaders in your church.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell them that I'm not happy with how they've been doing things. And they've been allowing a lot of false prophets to actually operate in the church. And they're destroying people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not fasting to be some form of hero or anything. I love my church. And frankly speaking, I don't want anybody who speaks bad against my church.
Sure.
And that voice says, but is it your church now? Okay, it got me there.
I mean, like really. I mean, very.
Okay, you've got a point.
Yeah.
And then the first thing I did, because I was hoping somebody would tell me that, honest, you've got a demonic spirit.
Why?
I would have accepted that.
Why?
Because this person is telling me that the one reality, my one place where I feel home, the one place where I really feel I belong,
it's full of false prophets.
It's full of false prophets, and God is not happy with it, and He's going to remove His spirit from it.
Semi-heartbreaking, if not very heartbreaking.
Yeah, so I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I would have easily accepted the message that there's something wrong with me. This is just one person. We can deal with that.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is my world shattering.
Sure.
But anyways, I call the archbishop of the church and I say, hey, how you doing? He says, I'm fine, my boy. What's happening? And I'm saying, my name is Honest, and you might not know me, but this voice is speaking to me, and this is what this voice is saying.
Yeah.
And the guy is very, very deep. He's a very deep man. And he sits down and he's quiet a little bit and he says, you know what? I believe that's God talking to you.
Oh, really?
Go and tell everybody what He said. I'm like, oh.
Why doesn't he say, why doesn't he do it? Because he's the...
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm still young by then.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's going to take this off my hands. He doesn't take it off my hands.
He leaves you with the burden.
Yeah. And all of us have a place to play, guys.
Yeah.
We've got a part to play.
Okay.
And nobody can do that for us.
Yeah.
It's part of just our journey.
We just have to do it.
We have to do it. And and just to touch on that, we're all waiting for somebody else to come and rescue us. Sometimes nobody's coming.
You have to do it.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. And I go out there and I go to different countries where this church is, and I'm just going, hey, my name is Honest, and it's a young, thin, slim boy. I was happy about my body then. Anyways, I'm saying, hey, hi, my name is Honest. Okay, nobody knows me, obviously.
So you're in front of the church now?
No, we'll actually go to the leaders.
Oh, the leaders.
Yeah,
okay,
so
sure.
Say, can I sit down with you? I heard a message, and I believe it's from God, and this is what He's saying. And everywhere they said, yeah, I think that message is most likely true.
Oh, okay.
But there's nothing we can do about it now because the church is too big. If we start changing things, it's going to cause division. And I was like, okay.
So they were happy that there were false prophets.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So anyways, so I come back and I'm in Cosmos City now. We've moved from Scott Polar. And I'm staying there at my local church.
Yeah.
And the guys don't like me because all of a sudden I'm like a heretic. I'm like, and the thing is because they actually come to me and say, you have become too educated.
Too educated?
Yes, I think it's your education that is causing you to go and research things, and you're coming up with all this nonsense.
Why is that a problem? False
Anyways, exactly. I'm like, no, but this is biblical. Check the Bible. Everybody in this church is using water. Where is it in the Bible where God says, my prescription for healing, deliverance, prosperity is water? Where is that? It's not there. It means something else has introduced. And this is not uncommon.
Yeah.
Look at the book of Revelations.
Yeah.
The book of Revelation, written less than 100 years before the passing of Jesus.
Yeah.
Already there's problems in the church.
Yeah.
5 of them, God is already not pleased. What about 2,000 years later?
It's probably thousands of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing when God comes to correct ours.
That is actually true. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's an opportunity to say, thank you, God. You're the owner of this thing. Okay, let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
But most of the times people don't do that. They actually go and say, what? Why are you telling us how to run things? We think the church is our church.
Yeah, but it's God's church.
That's God's church.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's God's church. And the moment it becomes our church, it's no longer God's church.
Yeah.
Because it means we call the shots and not God.
And that's why false prophets come in.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So yeah, and I'm talking to these people, and they're good, man. I want you to know when I'm talking about a false prophet, I'm talking about somebody that if I take you to them today,
yeah.
they'll get there, they'll say, hello, Njabulo, how are you doing?
Yeah.
They'll tell you your mother's name. They will tell you when she was born, the great-grandmother.
Okay.
You go there, you're looking for somebody that is lost and they've not been seen for years. They'll pinpoint the address and the phone number and where to go.
That is deep.
So these people are so accurate.
Yeah.
But it's not from God. And I'm not saying being accurate means you're not from God.
Tell people that.
Yeah.
Tell people that, yeah.
Because most of the times when you hear, oh no.
This guy was right, so
this
it must be
right.
from God. Yeah.
So people need to understand that it's the source that matters.
Yeah.
The source of the message.
Yeah.
Anyways. So back to the story. And I tell all these people, so they end up at my local church and they're like, no, we're going to suspend you indefinitely.
What does suspend indefinitely mean?
It means you can come to church and sit down. You're not allowed to pretty much do anything. You're not even allowed to put on the garment that everybody puts on, the uniform, basically.
Yo, that's excommunication.
It is excommunication. And it was indefinite.
So regardless of what repentance,
yes.
Yo, that's so that must have been painful because you love this church, right? You love the church.
It was bad, man. It was bad.
Yo.
So eventually I stopped going to church and I come and I'm at my house. I read my Bible. 2 or 3 people from the kind of the whole homestead there. There's a few tenants there that come and we're sharing the Bible. And that's pretty much how the church kind of started.
Yeah.
In one way or the other. But having said that, a lot of people, their lives are influenced by some form of ideology out there.
Yeah.
Some form of message out there.
Mm.
And the problem is, if that message is not for your highest good,
yes,
you're never going to become who you are.
Mm.
You cannot shine your light.
Yeah.
Because you are thinking you're something else that you're not.
Mm.
I don't have any business running away from the devil.
Yeah.
I don't need to get into holy water to hide from the devil.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Mm.
Because according to my Bible, I'm way greater than the devil.
Come on now.
That's the truth of the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm way great. I might not know it. I might not fully understand the implications of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that I am in Christ.
Yes.
I am in Christ. And I've tested these things, man. I'm a thinker like everybody else. I don't go out there and just, because you tell me, then you think I'm going to believe that.
Yeah.
I kind of test things.
Mm.
And that's just who I am. I don't follow blindly.
Mm.
I test things. And if you say I'm that powerful, I go and test it out.
Okay. How did you go test that out? Well,
I've been in places where I've seen people that let me actually tell my wife's story.
Okay.
Let me tell my wife's story. And one point we got to this place and we say, we want to start a Bible study thing going here.
Yeah.
And we go there and we say, God, you are here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your word says. You are here. And we want to just experience you. And if there's anything that is not of God here, we pray and we ask you to expose it. And that's just that.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, in this place, people start to fall down. Yeah, some people start to shake violently.
Wow.
One guy, we didn't know this. He had just been diagnosed with some form of cancer in his leg.
Oh, no.
And we got there, and his leg is shaking badly.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife prays for him. And he says, in the name of Jesus, we command that whatever is here does not. The guy, he was supposed to be amputated. It was the next week, I think, on a Thursday. He goes there, they say, this thing has disappeared.
Wow. So he went to the hospital, the doctors, yes. And said disappeared after that encounter.
Yes.
Jeez.
So, and they have countless.
And there are real stories like this, right?
Yes, this is like normal people like you and me, not super religious, super the hypnotized people. These are the people who are just like you and me.
Yeah.
And I've had countless of those stories. Just the other day, last week. Is it last week or this week? What's today? Saturday.
Today's Saturday, yeah.
One lady, we go there, we visit her. She's not been coming to church for a while. In fact, she came once, a few times, and never came back again. I'll go see her. And she got there and says, Honest, I've been having a lot of issues. What's the issue? Okay, I actually just suddenly got blind. Even now, my eyes are not okay.
Wow.
I need to go and see a doctor and get glasses. Like, okay, great. And you say, okay, can we pray? And we start to pray. And all of a sudden, she starts speaking in another person's voice and says, what are you doing here? I took this child from your church.
Aibo.
Yeah, because I don't want this child to be with you. And I want this child to work for me. And I'm like, okay. All right. So we keep on praying anyways. We keep on praying. Just the other day, I'm probably going to show you, remind me just after the show.
Yeah.
Says, thank you so much. There's nothing wrong with my eyes.
Nothing.
My eyes are 100%. So I'm not saying every condition
can be healed
out there is because maybe there's some satanic influence.
Or some demonic infestation.
Some of the conditions
are just conditions.
They're just natural.
Yeah.
Dude, if I don't eat well, I'm going to be obese.
Yeah. And
I'm going to develop issues.
Yeah, you can't pray that away.
Yes. But imagine you are doing everything right, and all of a sudden
you feel ill.
Something just comes.
Yeah.
And like, where did that come from? That's not natural.
Yeah.
Anyways. So back to your question. Why don't most people shine their light? You cannot shine your light until you know who you are.
Yeah.
And you cannot know who you are until God tells you who you are.
Yeah.
And most of us don't want to be told who we are. We want to try out everything first.
Mm-hmm.
All these ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
We only discover sometimes a generation later that it doesn't work.
When you say a generation later, for example, it's like if your father doesn't figure something out, then only you are going to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah. You discover a generation later.
Isn't that a bit late now?
It is.
Because a generation later means, can I do it now? Because if I'm going to take a generation to figure it out, I'm dead. You know what I mean?
Okay, look at this.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I'm just going to use a popular platform that all of us use, and I also use.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Facebook.
Sure.
Right. Popular platform.
Yeah.
Comes into the spotlight. Let's look at, so there's a lot of positive things that have come from Facebook.
Yeah.
But look at also the negative things that have come from Facebook.
Sure.
So, and this is research, this is studies that you can go out there and you can see that there are kids that are killing themselves because of when they're looking at other kids on Facebook.
Sure. So, and lack of likes and all of that.
Yes. So I'm not saying we shouldn't have Facebook, but I'm saying most of the times we'll realize a generation later that this thing, maybe we could have controlled it a little bit better.
Yeah.
We could have put measures around it a little bit better. We shouldn't have just let it and say like, "Ooh, let's everybody go there, let's dive, let's party."
Yeah.
But it's already too late.
There's
already lives lost, families lost, and that's just the reality of it. So we try out these ideologies, and we're trying them out against the ideology of the Bible.
Okay. Instead of just using the Bible.
Yes, right? Because we're like, no, like why is this the only way? Why should Jesus say, I am the way, not I am another way?
Do you think we do that because we have a preconceived idea of what we want, who we should be, and anything that doesn't line up to that, I'm going to run away from? For example, I'll go to this church and that church and that church and that church, and I'll only go to the church or the prophet or medium spiritist or whatever ideology that aligns to what I want.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we do. It aligns to what you want. But there's a reason mankind is a very... What's the word? What's it? I'm looking. It's going to come now. Give me a second.
All right.
It's a very new civilization. Now, the proponents of the Big Bang Theory will tell you that mankind has been around for, like say, Homo sapiens. They'll give you a certain 200, 300 or something thousand years.
Yeah.
And I'm not an advocate for that, but I'm just saying from whichever angle you look at it.
Yeah.
Mankind is a very young entity or civilization or organism.
Yeah.
We almost like children. The reason we choose for our children which school to go to is because we know better.
Yeah.
Is it because we want to abuse them?
No. Well, hopefully not, but like, no.
Say, I'm going to take you to that school because I think it's the best school and I want to abuse you.
Any good parent wouldn't want to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we know because we've got slightly an advantage. We've seen life.
Yes.
But if the child comes and says, you can't tell me where I want to go or how I should live my life.
I see.
They can say that, but they don't have the capacity to actually make sound decisions.
Very true.
It's not there.
Yeah.
It's not there. So when God presents himself to us, to a young civilization, and he presents, and we have the Bible today.
Yeah.
It is so that he can give us that foundation. And that foundation until we're big enough or old enough or spiritually mature enough to now make proper decisions.
Sure.
And those decisions will always align with God
100%.
When we are mature.
Yeah.
But before we are mature, he kind of leads us.
Yeah.
Says, hey, don't do that. Go this way.
Yeah.
So that's the whole concept around it. So these ideas that we're bringing in, we're really competing with what God says, and we say we can find a way that is better for mankind. I can tell you that to this day,
it doesn't work that way.
We haven't found the way.
After all of these religions and all of these
ideas
and organizations and crazy things that are happening out there, we haven't found it.
Nothing still beats that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Tried and tested.
Yeah. Solid. That's solid.
Yeah.
It gets you and me to a point to say, maybe I'm not living this life for me. Maybe I'm living it for other people.
Sure.
And if we can all live like that,
it's a much better world.
It's a much better world.
Yeah.
And some people come and say, no, but Christianity is kind of exclusive, or in a way, what do you call it? Something that is on its own and not inclusive.
So it's not inclusive. Okay.
Yeah. And they say, no, we need to change it to make it more inclusive.
And we're seeing crazy things happening right now.
Again, it won't work.
It's never worked.
It won't work. We meant to love people. Love them enough to die for them, actually.
That's a hard thing to do. What do you say? What do you say, Bishop H?
Okay. One of the things that has to do with love is I have to live my life for your greater good.
Yeah.
And it means that I have to tell you the truth. I have to tell you that, NJ, I know that you think sleeping for 1 hour is a good thing. It's not a good thing. You might say, Honest, you're judging me.
Yeah.
Honest, but I'll tell you, no, dude, I love you.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you because I hate you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you because I care.
Sure.
It's either you listen to me or you're going to find out
the hard way.
Yeah. And I don't want you to find out the hard way. So I tell you that. And if you look at the basic structure of, let's just say, a family, a dad is supposed to live for his kids.
Sure.
What more is there to live for?
Chelsea Football Club? No, I'm joking.
Besides Chelsea. That's a very good argument. Besides Chelsea.
Yeah.
What more is there to live for? Okay, you want to drive the big car and have a big house, right?
Yeah.
And then what? Because you're going to go.
Yeah, and you're going to leave it behind.
You're going to leave it behind.
Yeah.
You're not going to go with it.
No.
But the way you loved your kids and you took care of them is going to continue to propel throughout life.
Yeah.
You're going to touch people you never knew through your kids, through their kids, because you raised them right.
Yeah, I heard someone say that children are messengers we send to a future we will never see.
Can you do the twin thing there? That is so worth it.
Yeah, children are messengers to a future that we will never see.
Oh, wow.
I heard someone say that.
Sure, that is deep. That is deep. And it's so true. And that's the whole essence of Christianity, that you can't live for yourself. Man.
Yeah.
you gotta live for other people. And that's at the core of it.
Even if people suck, because people suck out there.
Suck,
People suck out there. Like it's just
they're opinionated. They say it. Some people will even spit on you.
They'll backstab
you.
Especially, not even especially. Take that back. Even in the church itself. The devil's Christians, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm being for it. It's even, sometimes I think it's even worse in churches.
Worse in churches, explain.
Sometimes I feel
because people say I think I'm crazy if I say that.
Well, no. It's not crazy. There's a lot of horrible people in the church, and sometimes I can even, if you're brave enough, I can tell you I'm probably one of them.
Oh wow, me?
Not me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about you too. I don't stay with you. Ask the people who stay with you.
I'll ask my wife.
Exactly. I'm probably one of them.
Yeah.
And we're not coming to church because we're perfect.
Yeah.
We come into church because this is the one place whereby God says, I'm going to model. And God works with models, by the way. Yeah. Eden was a model.
Yeah.
So he says, this is the model place. I want the whole earth to look like this.
Yeah.
And Adam and Eve were a model. This is the model relationship.
Yes.
I want all relationship to resemble this.
Yeah.
So the church is a model as well.
Yeah.
And he says, I want people that are different, that are raw, that are just committed to loving me and growing.
Yeah.
I want them together to love one another.
Yeah.
And I cannot love you more than the love that I've received.
Yeah.
I can't give you what I don't have.
Yeah.
You'll be asking for too much.
Exactly.
I can only give you according to the capacity that I've received.
Sure.
So as I grow in my capacity to receive, by the way, mankind was just created to be loved.
Yeah.
That's the main reason God created us.
So God created us so he could love us.
He could love us.
And then we could love him.
Yes, that's why we look for love so much.
Yeah. And we're looking for it in all the wrong places.
All the wrong places.
Yeah.
Because we feel that I need to be loved.
Yeah.
So we've joined gangs, we joined political parties, we joined just to seek that love. But anyways, I may not digress. Coming back. So we are created to, the church is a place where people come and say, I'm making a commitment. The same way you made a commitment to your wife.
Yeah. You
didn't say, girl, I'm going to be perfect.
No.
If you did that, you lied to her. And she discovered it probably a week after that. Oh no. Whatever I got myself into.
This guy lied to me.
He lied to me. But she's committed to you and you're committed to her.
Yeah.
And if you can be honest, I think you have seen that throughout the times you've been together, the way you love her is kind of changing her, and the way she loves you is kind of changing you.
Facts.
But you're not there yet. Nobody, I don't think there's a there to get to.
Yeah.
But that love is changing you. And your love is, I'm being changed by my wife. I can't get why she's still with me. No, I don't get it. Like, because in the first days you're trying to kind of mask it and not show who you really are. Your bad vibes and the wrong words that you can say. In the first days you try, but after a while, the person catches you like, on your bad mood.
Yeah,
you say the wrong word, and you're like, oh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
and they still stay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
love.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Well, unless they're being abused, then I don't think.
Yeah, no. Abuse is another story altogether.
Yeah.
It's another story altogether. And just to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the world we are in is basing its laws on extremes.
Extremes, please explain.
Let me explain it.
Yeah.
If I come to your house, and I
like what you're hearing so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking subscribe now button. Follow on YouTube, Instagram, and other platforms listed. Also, check out the website for more information. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for the support. Now back to the show.
Steal something.
Yeah.
We introduce a law and we say people are not supposed to come to each other's houses.
Yeah, that's very extreme.
It's because of the extreme case. The one in somebody probably beat their child and abuse them.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Yeah.
And then there's a law now that says you can't spank your kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that spanking on its own was wicked.
Mm.
And some of us were spanked when we were growing up.
Properly, yeah.
It didn't harm us in any considerable way. But there's people that spank, they actually abuse their kids.
Mm.
So now we put a law that takes away this good thing in a way that was really serving people in the community and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just say, no, because of this one person that has done this, or
Mm-hmm.
because of this few, we need to put a law that says no more.
Yeah.
And we're getting stuck very quickly.
When you say getting stuck very quickly, what do you mean?
Okay. Just watch the space. Watch the space of humanity. I love to watch humanity.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, first of all, we're going to say, okay, let's ban spanking. And I'm not talking good or bad here.
Yeah.
The law is the law.
Yeah.
And then our kids start to hit our teachers now.
Yeah.
Now it's scary to be a teacher. You'd rather be a soldier than be a teacher. Okay, so it's the results of that, right? And it comes as so our kids they now hit the teachers.
Mm.
So now we will have to introduce another law.
Yeah.
And from there we introduce another law, and we keep on introducing these laws that eventually we are all, instead of becoming free, we've actually gone the opposite way.
Becoming enslaved now.
We've entangled ourselves.
Mm.
Just go out there and say, for example, there's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Is there?
No.
No. It was a great idea when you introduced it. And then I say, oh, NJ, your hair is too black. And people say, ooh, well, let's put a thing around that.
Asterisks around it.
Yeah.
You can't actually say
you
that.
have freedom of speech, but you can't actually say that.
So there's not freedom of speech then?
Yeah, so no. So there's still freedom of speech, but you can't say A, B, C, D, X.
That's not freedom of speech.
Exactly.
That's not freedom of speech. I should be able to say what I want, whenever I want to,
Exactly.
if you're saying I've got freedom of speech.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we come in with these big words, and I'm curious as the human entity is growing.
Yeah.
To say, are we realizing that slowly but surely we're entangling ourselves? There's a prophet that said something the other day. I don't know if I should say his name, but he was in prison not so long ago.
Okay.
For whatever he did. He's got a famous guy. Not somebody I follow or anything.
Yeah.
But when somebody's saying something that makes sense,
yeah,
I kind of, even if I don't like all your other ideologies, but what you said right now makes sense. So I'll grab that.
Yeah.
And the guy said, I know we're coming and we're saying we shouldn't have people, for example, there's people that are giving people grass to eat.
Yeah.
And apparently there were snakes. Was there snakes or something like that?
Snakes.
I had grass. I think there was snakes.
I heard stories of grass and
petrol. There was
petrol, and it's like
exactly
all these crazy things that happen.
And the guy said, "Why are we going and speaking against those people?" And I'm listening. Like, what is he saying? Dude? What are you saying?
Yeah.
He says, "Don't we have freedom of religion?"
Yeah, we do. Oh, I thought we did.
Yeah. So if there is freedom of religion, in essence, it means I'm allowed to do whatever. As long as you didn't come and report me and say, he spread doom on me and my eyes are not working. If everybody who's there are okay.
Yeah. What's the problem?
There's no problem.
Yeah.
Constitutionally, there is no problem.
Yeah.
But we're quickly attacking those things. And I liked what he said about that.
Mm.
I don't agree with dooms and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I like that he's saying, guys, we've already made provision that says these things are allowed.
Yeah.
So now why are we coming and saying they're no longer allowed anymore?
Mm.
It doesn't make sense.
No, that's very true.
So these laws that we're coming up with are slowly
entangling us.
Slowly.
Yeah.
And one day we're going to wake up and say we're no longer a free society.
Mm.
We are being governed and controlled.
We'll wake up and it's 1984
exactly.
all over again.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Mm.
Only this time it will be our own doing.
Yeah, we did it to ourselves now.
Yes.
All because people didn't want to follow biblical principles, and they wanted to follow themselves.
Yes.
I guess that's why he's saying battle for your soul.
Battle
right?
for your soul.
Yeah.
It's crazy the things that are happening out there.
Yeah.
And I tell people, well, this book, for example, is I think even somebody who's not a Christian can get a value from it.
Yeah.
In the sense that I talk about, first of all, just understanding that there's spiritual entities around us.
Yeah.
And Africa doesn't have a problem with that.
No, that one.
No, we know.
Apparently, there was a poll. I don't have the exact source. I was just speaking to someone. They said, in South Africa, we engage in the most witchcraft in the entire continent. I found that very hard to believe, but then I was like, well, actually, that might be true.
It might be true.
It might be true, yeah.
Because I don't think in any other country they would allow... There's these shows these days where I saw the other one, I think it was on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's also on national TV.
Yeah.
Where they call the twassering and whatnot, those things whereby somebody's holding a snake and they're doing this funny ritual. You should check it on YouTube. I'll send you a link.
Bro, is this actually televised?
Televised, bro. And it's for stealing the souls of men.
Wow. So that entire thing is to steal someone's soul?
Yeah, apparently they say you are born with an luck or whatever it is. So when you sleep with that person,
they take your life.
From that day onwards, your money doesn't go well, nothing goes well, you struggle in everything, your businesses start to go down.
Yeah.
And that person apparently just starts to have money. Now it's all over YouTube. And it's in our country. And I think it's the only country that shows things like that.
Wow.
Especially in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So that's how progressive we are.
I know exactly what I'm watching tonight.
That's how progressive we are.
Wow. But South Africa, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, somebody needs to tell me, what are we doing?
It's gonna get worse.
Oh, wow.
It's going to get worse. Because
don't tell me that. Don't tell me it's going to get worse.
We can't speak against it.
Wow.
It's somebody's fundamental right.
Yeah.
So
well, true. Very true. Hey.
Exactly. So the whole thing, the whole issue is this thing is coming from a higher level than we think. So one of the things I talk about there is there is principalities. There is principalities are basically a higher level kind of spirits.
Yeah.
And they're in charge of making sure they influence culture.
Like culture, like when you say not just countries, but like the culture within
culture within. Because so culture is a self-perpetuating system.
Sure.
You don't need to watch every single person when we're talking about culture.
Yeah.
Remember, God is the only one who can see and be everywhere.
Yeah.
He's the only one. Is it omnipresence? I think that's the word.
Yeah, it's called omnipresence. Right, yeah.
She's everywhere. So if you can't be everywhere, what do? You put a system.
That's very true.
Yes.
That is very true. I never thought of it that way.
Yes. That's what companies do.
Yeah.
If the boss can't be in so he creates systems.
Okay, he'll create a system for someone to watch over that specific department, region. Yeah.
So the systems are the culture.
Yeah.
Right. So, and remember what the devil does. Certain what he wants is to infiltrate a culture.
Sure.
And then he puts his own ideologies. You only see them later that, oh my goodness, look at even just African culture as great as it is. It had aspects of Ubuntu, whereby we say I am because we are.
Yeah.
Beautiful aspects. And it's not everything in the African culture that is from the devil. No. Because some of those concepts are actually biblical concepts.
Sure, 100%.
But you now find some things that actually cause us to be against each other. Things like tribalism. I suddenly feel I'm better and I'm more entitled.
Because I'm from a certain tribe, yeah.
And that's maybe one of the things that maybe a topic that maybe is kind of touchy. When somebody was asking that, if you say you own the land, from how far back are you going?
Yeah, exactly. How far back should we go?
Exactly.
I think it was that I had this conversation with a gentleman I used to work with. He's from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Now, if you think we're not safe here, is
it worse?
No, the crime was worse. It was worse.
Sure.
Like, for example, he says that they kidnap you, wholesale.
Wow.
They kidnap you. Like, it's like a practice. I'm like, where's Bishop H? Yeah, he's probably been kidnapped. And then they call your wife. I'm like, your wife was like, baby, we've been kidnapped again.
It's
because of the poverty that is there. Not all of Venezuela is poor, but then there's also the because of the poverty that's there. There's the inequality, and because of that inequality, there's the crime, and the crime is syndicated. There's principalities there as well.
Yeah.
So he's coming from that background, and he says he would not suggest anyone goes back there or even visit or whatnot. And then he tells me this as my brother's doing work in Venezuela. I'm like, no, what? Like, don't go, bro. Don't go. Don't do. I want you to come back. come
home.
We were having this conversation about, the land grab, land reform, bring back the land, all of that stuff. He's like, okay, so with reparations, we need to be very clear, very clear.
Yeah.
Is it going back 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 150 years, 200 years? Are we going to go back to the end of time? Because if we go back to the beginning of time, it says in the beginning God. So we must give it all back to God now. So like, how far do we go? And then
and if we say 50 years, what's the rationale?
Yeah. Why 50 years? Why not 55 years?
Yeah.
Guys, good luck with that one. Yeah.
No, we're entangling ourselves.
Yeah.
It's interesting times, man. It's interesting times. We're entangling ourselves. And for quest of wanting to create our own system.
Yeah. But we're not going to learn because we've failed. We failed. Like, I don't know what you think, but I think that we failed wholesale. And we continue to fail.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think God is kind of secure. He is secure in himself.
Yeah.
So he allows you when you think, when you want to do your own thing, other parents will say, not in my house, I'll lock you up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you grow up and say, oh God, I've got issues that used to be locked up. But anyways, God doesn't do that. He says, hey, you feel you want to go out there and do it your own way?
Yeah. Shop.
What do you need from me? Check the parable of the prodigal son.
Yeah, he lets him go. He lets him go. He gives him money.
He gives him money. He says, so you want money to spend, right? Okay, good.
Sure.
I'm not going to take away my brains that I gave you. I'm going to allow you to be an intellect. I'm not going to take the gift. If I gave you the gift of singing, of mathematics, of selling, I'm going to allow that gift, and I'm going to say, take the gift with you.
Yeah.
And you're going to go out there and with all your gifts, everything, with your intact, the only thing that you don't have is that the relationship with the Father.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you do life.
And then we all know how that ends.
We all know how that ends.
Badly.
Like
very badly.
We abuse other people. We abuse ourselves.
Yes.
And we hate other people. And I feel, especially in past generations, women had it really at the short end of the stick.
They had it worse than anyone else.
Abused, pressed down, and all that. And all because we want to define life for ourselves.
Yeah.
The meaning of it. We want to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, but then we can't.
It doesn't work.
Well, we can, but the result is not going to be nice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you say to, because in Southern Africa, let me just say South Africa right now. Yeah. You did mention that there was some ancestral worship and veneration that you were involved in. Yeah. That is the case. What do you say to the entire population that they are going to church, but then there's still the ancestral veneration? A friend of mine called it the two-part system.
Yeah,
he calls it the two-part system. You proclaim Jesus Christ, but you still dabble in this. I mean, what is your message there?
So maybe I'm going to answer your question the long way.
Sure.
The first thing is that you need to understand that ancestral spirits do exist.
Sure.
And by saying that, and a lot of people come and say, no, honest, those things are fake. There's nothing like that. No, there is something like that. It's ancestral spirits. However, the issue comes that we think they are your grandmother. We think they're your grandfather, and that's what we think. And that's what these principalities I've told you about want you to believe. Right. Why do they want you to believe that? so that you don't really believe there's a judgment. Because no one wants to talk about that story.
Yeah, the story of Judgment Day. Yeah.
So there's no judgment, and when you die, you're actually now this lovely spirit moving around with no chain, not chained to your body.
Yeah.
So you're even more freer. However, the Bible doesn't teach that. And the Bible teaches you that when you die, you await judgment. So you're in some form of prison called Hades, where you are kept. Anyways, another story. So when that practice is introduced, that people are worshiping these powerful beings, thinking is their, dude, if your grandfather couldn't buy a cow, he couldn't even fight colonialism and win, and some of those challenges of his time or her time.
Yeah.
How much more now? What have they gained that is extra in their death that is going to give you a leverage?
I don't have an answer for that.
Exactly. Because
no one's been able to give an answer to that.
If you fail in life, how do you expect to come now and say, I'm going to help somebody succeed?
Yeah.
Who's living in a way complicated world, by the way.
Lived, yeah.
Dude, if they take you now and put you to 1920, you'll be a millionaire.
Probably.
Because of the things that you know now and whatnot, you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But if they take somebody from 1920, for some reason, let's say time travel is now a possibility.
And put them here.
And we put them here.
It's tickets. It's tickets. It's tickets. It's tickets.
They're going to suffer.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be the poorest of the poorest. Even the poor people are going to think this guy is bad.
Yeah.
So if you're saying your ancestor that died 200, 350 years, 80 years ago, I need their help now, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. If that were true, that it's actually your real ancestor, it's not gonna work. Because they don't have the knowledge and the capacity to just handle the world that we have in.
Sure.
So that whole concept doesn't work. It was introduced by fallen angels to perpetuate their own worship and create a substitute for worshiping God. And that's the whole system.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Now, when you come to Christians, and this one I really have to be quite clear.
Okay.
When it comes to Christians that do both, those are they're the most confused people in the world.
True.
They're the most confused. Don't just go and worship ancestors. Much better.
They're much better.
You've
got more reverence for them.
I have huge respect for them. At least they believe in something, they're sticking to it.
And they're sticking to it, not straddling the lines.
You can't.
Yeah.
Because the Bible is very clear.
Yeah.
You shall not worship the dead. And it's actually, I think, is it Deuteronomy?
I think it's Deuteronomy somewhere 28.
Yeah, somewhere there's an 8 somewhere.
Yeah.
But it clearly says, whoever does that is an abomination to God.
That's a strong word.
It's a huge word.
It's a strong word.
It means you make God he's repulsed at you. If he could vomit, he would vomit. That's an abomination.
My.
I promise you.
My.
When you do both.
Yeah.
You gotta just decide.
Yes.
Am I going to go and worship these angels? Or I'm going to go to the source and worship God directly?
Yeah.
And you just can't do both.
Yeah.
You can't do both. And in my sense, I will never allow somebody that is lower than me in a sense of whatever. But somebody who's younger, let me just use age. I won't allow my 3-year-old baby, my 5-year-old girl to run my household. I can't allow her to be the boss of me.
Yeah.
I won't do that. And if Christ has risen me to the level of it's just God and Christ, I don't want anything above me. It's an error.
Yeah.
I have to be the one in charge. So if there are any ancestral spirits, if you want to believe in them, they got to be coming to consult you because you're the big boss.
Yeah.
If they're there, they have to come because you are at the highest position now.
Because if you say that you're in Christ,
yes,
you're at a level above angels, I believe.
Yes, you are above
that,
angels.
right? Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So any spirit, if it needs anything, it has to come to you.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. I can't be worshipping it. If it wants, it can try worshipping me. I shouldn't, but I'm just saying.
That's
the logic.
Yeah, don't worship me. I support Chelsea. That's that's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically saying that pick a side.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
Yeah.
Whether you go right or left, just at least pick a side. Make it clear where you are.
People say no, but this subject, the Bible is subject to interpretation. Mm-hmm. But on that particular matter, it's not. It's very clear.
Make it plain. You're being very clear here.
Exactly.
Like, no, you're not mincing words here.
Very clear.
Yeah.
If it says it's an abomination,
it's an abomination.
How can you subject that to interpretation?
Yeah.
How can I say, no, maybe it's not a big abomination. No, it's an abomination.
Yeah.
God says no. And all that really comes from false religion. Major and big thing. And people say, but how can you say another religion is false? Well, in essence, according to the Constitution, there's nothing called a false religion.
Yeah, that's a Constitution.
Yes. But if it's not Christianity, to me, it is a false religion. Because Christianity, let me just say Christianity is how God decided we will meet with him.
Yeah.
He decides. And following Christianity means you're saying, I don't want to be the boss of me. I'm okay with having a boss.
Somebody telling me, go left, go right, eat this, don't eat that.
Yes.
Worship like this. Go here.
Exactly. We don't set the terms. We don't meet and say, hey, NJ, my friend, let's change this. You know?
It's not up to me. I just work here. It's not
exactly.
It's
I
just work here.
Miles Monroe.
Yeah. Doctor.
I like the guy.
Yeah.
Love the guy actually.
Yeah.
He says at one point, as an ambassador, he says, it's not my viewpoint that matters.
Yeah.
You can't even come and say, Honest, what's your view? I don't have a view.
Doesn't matter. And in actual fact, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What I think doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. The Rock got that right. It doesn't matter. Honest, what do you think? It doesn't matter. What you think. Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
The owner of planet Earth and the universe says, and we're privileged to know the owner.
Yeah.
We're privileged to know the owner. And we could have said, no, this is just another religion. But he knew we would say that. So he came personally.
And told us
and says, guys, this is me. I'm going to tell you. And we will say, nah, but it's just another guy. He says, okay, what's the most powerful thing on earth? Death. Nothing beats death.
No.
Death is the most powerful thing. He says, okay, let me show you that I created death.
And I can beat it.
I can beat death. Death is my baby. And he died and he resurrected. Historically, even people that are not Christians, if you check history books, they say, you know what? There is definitely some truth that this guy died and resurrected.
Yeah.
There's so much evidence for that. So, he's the only one, by the way, in all the religions. And if you are to follow anybody and say, you know what, I want to have some form of religion, I wouldn't follow the guy who died and died.
I did come back.
No, I wouldn't. Great concepts maybe, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If the person comes and he died and he resurrected, I'm going to follow that guy.
Yeah.
Because he beats death.
Even if it doesn't make sense.
Even if it doesn't make sense, this guy kind of proved that he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And that's me just speaking on a logical basis to say, you know what? I'm not gonna follow a team that's always losing.
Hey, bro,
okay, anyways,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Come back.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, we're just a bad spell, you know. It's just a bad spell. Charles, what are you doing this movie? Yeah.
So yeah, that's my take around it.
Yeah.
I further on got to explain in that book, and I was just talking about culture.
Yeah.
And the different systems that are there. The systems that are there are. Let me give you one, for example. The food we eat.
Yeah.
The food we eat is created obviously in the free market economy. And the food we eat is honestly not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
That's just scientific. The food we eat. What does the food do? Let me talk about the teenager.
Yeah.
The food we eat helps our kids to mature faster.
Sure.
So our kids, very young, and let me talk about the girl child. It's going to have boobs at way, way younger age.
Mm-hmm.
The food they eat is stimulating. They give these certain injections, let me use chickens, for example, to help them to grow faster. So they give them growth hormones. And we eat that chicken, and it gives us what? Growth hormones. So we grow faster.
Okay.
So our kids mature faster. Okay? I want you to see how this is working. And then now we go and say, there's another system whereby we want to entertain them and we give them access to sexual material. They're still young, and sex is powerful. Sex is so powerful that even older people can really control their sexual desires.
Yeah.
It's one of the most powerful forces that is on earth. And now our kids are exposed to that. Young kids. Their body has already grown. Then they're exposed to that sexual material that arouses so many other things in them. What chance have they got?
None. 0 to none. Without Christ.
Without Christ,
They've got a very hard time to do so.
So, and then we expect them to be, shouting at them and speaking bad about them.
When we've been feeding all these things.
It's not going to change anything, really. And it's not even fair on them because they can't help it. They honestly can't help it. That's why things like virginity become like, really, a virgin?
Still. Do they exist?
Dude, you are 16.
Come on now.
Now, what's wrong with you?
You're 6 years too late. Imagine that.
What's wrong with you? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other day, it's sad because I see these cases every day. The other day, I think I had a 14-year-old, and there's a huge chance she's pregnant. And I'm seeing these things. The other day, I was with a 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old, the parents found out that she's been busy sending funny pictures to the opposite sex and vice versa. So you can see that the world, the way it's created, and the systems, the way they are created, they're not there for our greatest good.
No.
Because once you go down that road, guys,
it's so hard to come back.
Can't come back. It's very hard. You haven't even known who you are.
And now you're already being defined by something. Jeez.
Already.
Right.
You haven't figured out who NJ is.
No.
You're still kind of in the process of wanting to figure out, and already there's this other entity that is already defining you.
Yeah, jeez. Hey, Bishop, we're getting to the point where we're going to have to conclude. So I'm going to give you the platform to ask me a question or two, if you have it.
So I'm going to take the chance just for the sake of taking the chance. And I want to find out from you on maybe certain, because you sit with so many professionals and so many thinkers.
Yeah.
But I want to find out from you, what's the general consensus about the solution that we need to start turning our country, especially South Africa, turning it towards a tide whereby, because right now it looks like we're going downhill.
Yeah, we've been going on that trajectory for quite a while. Yeah.
And we're losing kids. We're losing families.
Yeah.
Every time I pass through a place of entertainment, I see men there. You go to churches, you find women.
Yeah. I think that's a bigger, one of the biggest problems. So to turn South Africa around, I'll look at it just from a culture and society perspective. The wholesale theme that I've been seeing from entertainers, especially like women, give you a very fresh perspective because I don't think like them. So I've got a different perspective. And then also the guys as well, is the war seems to be against manhood and masculinity. That's what the war seems to be. That's what seems to be most under attack. The strong feminists, the hypersexualization of both men and women, the men being worked out of jobs, being told that they are trash. And I thought about it for a while. If you break down men and you bring down men, you might as well just take the whole society with you.
Yeah.
Because I was fortunate to grow up with a strong father, and I had a strong father until I was like 29. So I really can't complain because I had a model.
Yeah.
He was very protective. He never failed to provide, even though he had pressures. He was far from perfect, but we all knew that. And he instilled discipline and education and taking care of a woman, not harming them mentally, emotionally, physically, and learning to stand up on your own 2 feet. He said that you better make sure that you make as much money as possible.
Oh, I like that.
Because the world is cruel to poor men. It's very cruel. It's very cruel. I remember one time, I think it was before I launched my first book, we sat down with, I think it was a security guard and his kid. And the kid was 17, 18 years old. I think it was grade 11, matric-ish. And then my dad brought him to me. And then he said, this guy wants help to put together a CV. At 17, 18, he says he wants to go work. So he brings to me his results. My dad's sitting there and I'm sitting here and I'm like in focus mode to say, okay, I've got a book launch tomorrow, so I'm not going to waste this kid's time, but I'm going to give him time. And his dad was also there. And this kid gives me this CV. And not the CV, his results.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I was shocked. I was shocked. 33 for maths, something for 50 for history. English was like low and all that. And then he wants to immediately go and get a job. He wants to immediately go work. So I looked at this and I was like, yo, I don't want to be judgmental, but I'm like, this is not looking nice for you.
Yeah.
Because if you leave now,
Yeah.
not to say that you can't be successful, not to say that you can't make something of yourself, but if you leave now and go and work, I'm just looking at the probabilities.
Yeah.
Down the road there was security guards, those operate the booms.
Yeah.
There's the security guards there. There's the car guards at the park, at the office parks and malls. There are those people who are homeless. There are those people who work construction. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with all of those, but majority when you speak to people, that's why I think it's very beneficial for us to take our egos aside and just listen to people's stories. You get so much perspective. How the things that what they earn, how they struggle, just to get by, just to move forward, is very, very difficult. And then now we're expecting people like that who are disenfranchised, who have less of a shot at life because of their own poor decisions, and they did not have people telling them or guiding them in the right way to say, yo, listen, I know what you're about to do, but if you go down this road, you're going to have a tough time. Not to say that you can't make it, but it's the probability that you're not. And I said to him, you need to forget about going to work next year, because what job are you going to get with this? Couldn't tell me. You're going to probably work to be a car guard, and all these jobs are full and they're competitive. And then you can't work with what you're going to be doing, looking to get piece jobs, whatever. But if you have a shot, some of these people, it was just circumstantial. They didn't have a chance. Now you have a chance. You have a shot. I would say go back to grade 9 and start and do your marks again. And then you've got more of a better chance, and then you can get a matric, go to university, and then also start looking and starting your own enterprise and starting your own business so that you can also learn those skills and accountability. But if you're going to start now at -5, 20 years from now, think about what your life is going to be like 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So I think that is a common theme that has been coming across, because we're trying to solve all these big macro problems. where we should be solving the solution at the micro.
Yeah.
You know, they say charity begins at home.
At home, yeah.
People need to go and fix their own homes. And you start by fixing yourself. I'm big on personal accountability. Start with fixing yourself on what you need to fix. Because we all know that government has problems.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
When load shedding was still a thing in this country, shout out for no load shedding in a while. Shout out. Thank you. So when load shedding was like at peak, people would still be shocked when there was load shedding. I'm like, why are you shocked? This is happening. Yeah. You can be angry, you can protest, but this is still happening.
This is happening, yeah.
And people can be evil out there. Yes, we all know that. Yeah. Now the question is, what are you personally going to do about it? And what is it that you can fix? Instead of complaining about poverty, try to do something to help alleviate the poverty. Whatever it is, something is better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing. And the problem is that what I found in conversations with everyone, I mean, I've had people who were married and then they were divorced and then they were abused and then they were beaten. I've had single mothers come in. The man did a number on them. I've had men whose wives left them. It seems to be a human problem. And I would preach Christ to them and then leave them there. Yeah. And then if they make their choice or not. But even if they didn't make their choice, the still conversation is you need to make the most of yourself with the best principles possible. Because I can't call Cyril Ramaphosa right now and say, hey, man, I wish we could. Yeah, you need to go fix this. Yeah. But then why am I asking somebody else to fix something if there are things around me that I haven't fixed? It's not fair.
It's hypocritical. Like there are things that you can fix. You can voice your opinion. But at the end of the day, if you say that you want to fix South Africa, South Africa is a country in Africa. Some people think that Africa is this one big pot.
Then there's South Africa.
Then there's South Africa. Yeah. I remember I was in the UK when I was 13. And this American lady, we were on a fair, they call it a ferry there. Mm-hmm. She said, where are you from? I said, I'm from South Africa. And it's like, is that in Africa? I'm like, yes, it is. Where in Africa is it? I'm like, it's at the south of Africa. As it is in the name. So South Africa is a country. And you were talking about principalities and all that. A country is made up of provinces. Yeah. The province is made up of, I don't know if it's like regions. And then that is made up of like your suburbs, and your suburbs is made up of neighborhoods, and a neighborhood is made up of a household. So if you start at the household, and then the household is made up of what? A person. So if you start literally fixing yourself and becoming the best that you can be for everybody else, then that's going to be good. I mean, also in a church context, people complaining about, they complain, Bishop H is not even, he's preaching this thing and it's not even scripturally sound and whatnot, but they don't go to church, they don't read the Bible, they don't even serve in any ministry, they're not working out their salvation. So we so far like to look at how do I fix South Africa, but not just thinking about how do I fix what I have here. Because they are all the deficiencies that we have. We wake up late, we're hateful, we're angry, all those things. So everyone that I've spoken to, they're smart, intelligent. There's only certain things that you can control. And the things that you can control, you better do them well. Yeah. You need to do them well. I love that. So that's the thing. And then also, you hear people complaining a lot. You remember that quote I said, children are messengers to a future that we will never see. Yeah. Now, the thing is, you're saying that you want a better South Africa. Yeah. So then one of the best things that you can do is to model what a better South Africa looks like to your children or the children around you. Yeah. Because they're going to take that message and go into the future. So if your current reality is disorganized, hateful, angry, lazy, evil, engaging in witchcraft, and your two-pot system the old children are going to take that into the future. So literally begins with the man in the mirror, and in every single industry, whether some people are entertainers and they're like, this industry, it's so bad, it's so like this, but like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you just complaining, or are you trying to fix it?
Yeah.
People not giving opportunities. Start your own event.
Exactly.
Start something. Start have that initiative, because that will lead to a better South Africa. So I want this country to be better. I want the world to be better, but it has to start with myself. It has to start with my family. It has to start with wherever it is that I go, because somebody said you are the only Bible some people will read, and you are the only message, or you're the only message that people will ever hear. So if you say, I want to be committed and hardworking, there's someone who will never see what committed and hardworking looks like unless you're there. So that's, if we want to like really turn the tide, instead of having the victim mentality, start say, okay, we know things are bad. Doesn't negate that things are bad. Things are bad. Things are bad. They're bad. But then, instead of having the victim mentality, come back to it and say, okay, I know it's tough out there. For example, it's cold. Today it's cold. Instead of like, it's cold out there. Okay, put on a jacket. You make yourself warm. Do what you can with what you have. And then also be grateful for what you have. Because a person who's grateful is not going to point out faults and fault finding and just complaining all the time. Because I tried complaining a long time. It hasn't helped me. It hasn't helped me. It doesn't help me. Unless I'm trying to get service delivery, then if I can complain, maybe they'll listen. But wholesale, it hasn't changed a single thing. So that's how you change your culture. That's how you change your household. That's how you change. Like if you like for some kids out there, if you're living with your parents, they say this house is dirty. Don't complain. Clean it. Yes, and then it makes it easier to have the conversation if you want more pocket money because you've done something. Just do, if you can do something about something. I don't know. Somebody said, I think on the show, they said to me, you can always do something about your situation. Always. There's always something that you can do about your situation. So now what are you going to do? Are you going to complain? Or are you going to do something? Complaining is not doing something.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I think you've just given me a sermon for tomorrow.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Any
maybe last comment.
I was about to ask for your last comments.
Just to say, I think from just what you were saying here, I'm quite inspired.
Yeah,
and I'm encouraged to keep on doing something.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing that, for sure, we're actually trying to solve things on a higher level.
Yeah.
And the problem is actually on a lower level.
It is.
And I remember Adam saying, it's the wife you gave me.
Yeah.
The wife saying, no, it's the devil.
Yeah.
And that's how he got to be in charge, by the way. Because we deferred authority to him.
Oh, is it? Oh, that is so deep.
Yes.
I never thought of it that way.
Yes. God said, that's why God asked Adam. He knew everything, but he says, Adam. But Adam said,
I put you in charge.
I put you in charge. No, it's not me. It's the woman. So the woman became in charge momentarily.
Yeah.
And the woman, God came to the woman and said, nope, it's the devil.
Yeah.
And the devil never complained.
He's like, I'll take
this. Listen. He says, I'll take the authority.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you can take the accountability, it means you are in charge. And you have to be in charge.
That is so deep.
So,
yeah.
I think that's a message maybe to all Christians out there to say, guys, this is our problem. Mm-hmm. This is our issue. Mm-hmm. And we've got the power to change it.
Sure, we do.
By loving people and loving one another. Mm-hmm. And that's where we start. And love is an action.
Yeah.
You keep on doing something for the next person to better them.
100%.
And my people in my church, they call me father. Not that I'm a father, like as in, I'm not that kind of father. But we're living in a fatherless generation.
Yeah.
And I've had people come back and say, you know what? I didn't do that thing because I thought, what would my father say?
Exactly. Hey.
And this person grew up without a father, and they're looking at me and say, hey, daddy.
What must I do?
What must I do here?
That's inspiring.
So can we not all be fathers?
We can.
Because we obviously see there's an issue of fatherhood. Maybe that's a place where we can start. But thank you for having me on the show.
100%.
I didn't know time was going to fly so much.
I told you. I did not tell you.
When you were telling me, I was like, what the heck is he talking about? I'm not going to talk for like an hour.
I told you. But then the conversation was going the way it was going. That's good. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this episode and watch if you're on YouTube. I've had the honor of having the Honorable Bishop H. And also for Christians out there, if you have someone in authority, don't call them brother, don't call them bra. You're breaking spiritual protocol. If God has called them bishop, you call them bishop. If you call them prophet, he's called them prophet. He says it's pastor, he's a pastor. And also with God is not your uncle.
Bob's your uncle, not God.
Yeah, Bob is your uncle. Yeah, so Bishop H, he's got his book, one of his books out, Journey of 1,000 Miles, Battle for Your Soul. Please go, you can go check it out on Amazon. You can go get it there. If people want to connect with you, how do they connect with you?
And I can just reach out. My number is 078 910 6502.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, WhatsApp. If you do calling, I'm not going to be able to say, hello, how are you? I want the book. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So then also check it out on Amazon. You can for a lot of. I can't wait to read this one. I can keep this one, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's on the video. That's why you say it. So thank you very much for another edition of the NJ podcast. Remember that success is a progressive of a worthy ideal. That means you're going after what you've always wanted to go after because it's aligned with your highest values that have been inspired by your creator. And that is the only way for you to live a truly fulfilled and successful life. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you very much.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode on the NJ Podcast. Make sure to visit the website, the njpodcast.captivate.fm, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, all the other podcast platforms, or via RSS so you never miss a show. You can also find the video content on the YouTube channel and Instagram page. That will be Njablo James on YouTube and njablo.j.ngosi for Instagram. Please subscribe and follow on those platforms as well. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on the podcast platforms, or if you'd like to tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. If you'd like more information about published or upcoming books, visit www.njablojames.com for more information. Please reach out if you'd like to share what you would like to hear and which guests should be invited to the show. And remember, success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal, which means that you are doing what you have always wanted to do because it is aligned with your highest values, and this is the only way you can live a truly fulfilled life. Now just chill until the next episode.